Good morning. This is Miss Professor Gardetto that I'm going to go over some problems from homework number 5. And so let me preview the assignment here. Homework 5 talks a lot about the same stuff as we talked about yesterday in both the Zoom session and the mini video. The big concept here is there's a little shortcut to graphing. We don't have to pick points. We don't have to find 2 points. We don't have to find the x and y intercepts and draw a line through those 2 points. But we need to know this form of the equation. It's called slope-intercept form. Okay, and this is what the entire problem set's about. All 25 problems deal with slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is a form of an equation where y is on the left-hand side and everything else is over here on the right-hand side. And I'm going to use some letters here, and then I'm going to go ahead and talk about what they mean. We saw the letter M yesterday, but we didn't see this letter here yesterday. Okay, that's B. So y equals mx plus b is called the slope-intercept form of a line. The m is the same as the m was yesterday, and that m is going to be a number. Okay, it might be a fraction, it might be a positive number, it might be a negative number. It's not going to be a decimal, but that m, remember yesterday we said m was equal to slope. So that's the slope of the line. And this value here, b, and it says positive b, but you could actually have a negative number here too. But that b right there, whether it's positive or negative, that b right there is your y-intercept. Okay, it's where the line crosses the y-axis. And if we know the slope and the y-intercept of a line, it's pretty easy to graph. We don't have to do really any math. We just have to be able to count and find out where the y-intercept is, and then we use the slope. Remember, the slope is defined as rise over run. So there's 3 parts to this first question. First part is it says the equation they're talking about is this one here, y minus 5 equals negative 2x. Notice this is not in slope-intercept form. It's almost in slope-intercept form. It's just not solved for y. Y is not by itself here on the left-hand side. But this is just a drop-down menu. It says cannot or can. If you see an x and a y in an equation, if there's an x and a y in the equation, you're going to choose can. Okay, if you don't see an x and a y, then you can choose cannot. But most of these are going to be can. So the equation can be written in slope-intercept form. Then you choose check answer. Okay, so that's just the first part of the first few problems. Okay, so part 2 is where you're actually going to do the math. So part 2, you're going to move my box here so you can see. There we go. So part 2, it says the equation in slope-intercept form is. So you're going to transform this equation. You're going to transform this equation into slope-intercept form. And simply you're gonna solve this equation for y. So you're going to add 5 on both sides. So if you add 5 on both sides, you get negative 2x, and you add 5. Okay, and then you can just leave it like that. Don't take the negative 2 and add 5 because these aren't like terms. So this is in the form y equals mx plus b. So you just got to type that over here. And there's no tools. When you click the box, you just use your keyboard. Y equals negative 2x plus 5. Check your answer. In part 3, it's going to ask you to graph. And this is where the shortcut comes in, is we don't have to do any tables. We don't have to use any points. We just need to use the fact that we know now the y-intercept is 5 and the slope is -2. So the tools here, I'm going to click the line tool. So the y-intercept is 5. I'm going to click the line tool. The line tool is right here. I'm going to place the first point. I'm going to place this first point at 5. And then I'm going to use the slope to place the second point. Okay, so the slope is -2. Remember, we have to have a rise and a run for the slope. So that -2, it needs to be put over 1. Okay, -2 is -2 over 1. And the reason why I'm writing it over 1, that's that you can remember that this is the rise and this is the run. So if we go to that 5 and go rise -2, if you rise -2, that means you go down 2. And then if you run 1, that means you run 1 this way. And I click the second points right there. Remember, negative slope lines go down and to the right. And I'm going to check my answer. Okay. That's how the first 6 problems are going to be. Okay. All 6 problems. The first 6 problems are part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, so let me skip to number 7. I will be going over more problems like 1 through 6 in the Zoom session this morning. So if you wanted to tune in at 9 o'clock or view the recording later. But I'm going to get to problem number 7 here. Okay. 7 asks you a question. Actually, it's one of 3 answers. It says, determine if these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay. So notice both those equations are not in slope-intercept form. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is put them in slope-intercept form, because we need to find the slopes of these lines. Okay, remember we talked about parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. And if they're not the same slopes or opposite reciprocal slopes, then they must be neither. So let's put both these equations in slope-intercept form. So let's see. Let's start with this one here. Okay, this one here, I'm going to solve this for y. So I'm going to, I need to get rid of this -9 that's in front of y. So I need to divide both sides by -9. So I need to take this 2 and divide it by -9. And I need to take the -5 and divide it by -9. Okay, now 2 doesn't go into 9. 9 doesn't go into 2. 9 doesn't go into 5. So I'm just going to leave it like that. It looks a little ugly, but really, I'm really concerned about this. This is my slope. Okay, this is my slope. -2 over -9. Now I do the same thing here with this one, but this one's written a little bit backwards. The y is on the right hand side. I like to put the y on the left hand side, so I'm gonna kind of just rewrite it here. I'm gonna put 2y minus 3 on the left hand side, and I'm gonna put the 9x on the right hand side. And you might want to do that too, because it's y equals mx plus b. It's y equals mx plus b. It's y equals mx plus b. Okay, you got to get that in your head, because that's going to come up on every single problem. Y equals mx plus b. So it's always starting with a y. This has 2y minus 3. So we want to get this minus 3 over here. I can simply do that by adding 3 on both sides. So I get 2y equals 9x plus 3. And then I need to get rid of this 2, and I divide both sides by 2. If I divide both sides by 2, I get 9 over 2 x plus 3 over 2. Okay, now we only are concerned with the slope because that's going to determine whether it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So let's look at the slopes of these lines. You should notice that these are opposite reciprocals. Okay, they're opposite because one's negative and one's positive, and then they're reciprocals because they're flipped. We talked about that yesterday in both the Zoom and hopefully I talked about that on the mini lecture as well. Those are opposite reciprocals, so we're going to choose perpendicular. Okay. All right. So those questions are similar. 7 through 11. 7 through 11 are all they're all problems that are going to ask you parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay. So let me move on to question 12. All right, so it says, use the slope-intercept form of a line to find an equation of the line having the given slope and passing through the given point. Express numbers as integers or simplified fractions. Okay, so again, you want to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, that's y equals mx plus b. So now they did give you half of the answer. They gave you, in the problem, they gave you that the m is equal to -4. Okay, so you should say thank you. Thank you for giving me half of the answer, right? Y equals mx plus b is going to be y equals -4x plus b. Somebody gives you something, you say thank you. Now, what they didn't give you is they didn't give you this. They didn't give you the y-intercept. But they did give you a point. They gave you a point that the line goes through. The line goes through 0, 5. So that 0 right there is an x. That 5 right there is a y. You have an x right here, and you have a y right here. So if you need to find out what b is, you need to just do a little bit of math. You need to put the 5 in for y. So I'm going to put the 5 in for y. And I'm going to put the 0 in for x. If I put the 0 in for x, this becomes 0. 0 times -4 is 0. So then I know that b is equal to 5. And now I have the equation. Because remember, they gave me half of it. They gave me half of it. You found out the other half. And now you can combine it and put that in here. Y equals -4x. Now you know that b is equal to 5. So it's a positive 5. So you got to put plus 5. Check our answer. Okay. Okay, those questions are like 12 through 15. 12 through 15 all deal with the same topic as I just got through there on number 12. Let me skip to number 16. Okay, 16. 16, they weren't as nice to you. Okay, they didn't give you all the information here. They starts out the same way. Write the equation of a line, satisfying the given conditions. Write the answer in slope-intercept form or standard form. We're going to talk about standard form tomorrow, but right now it's all about slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Get that equation through your head. Okay, so this one, it tells you that the line passes through 2 points. It doesn't tell you the slope. It doesn't tell you the y-intercept. But if you guys remember from yesterday, there's a slope formula. Okay, let me remind you what the slope formula looks like. The slope formula remember it was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. Or in more simple terms, subtract the y's and then subtract the x's in the same order as you subtracted the y's. Put the y's on top, put the x's on the bottom. So these are the y values, 7 and 5. So you can either go 5 minus 7, you can do it from left to right, or you can go 7 minus 5. I'm going to do 7 minus 5 because it's a positive number. But it really doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. Okay, so if I do 7 minus 5, I have to do 6 minus negative 5. Now be careful. It's 6 minus a negative 5. The formula has a minus. If your coordinate is minus or negative, then you're going to have a double negative. What happens if you have a double negative? If you have a double negative, that turns into a positive. So this is a 2. And then 6 minus negative 5 is an 11. Okay, now don't get scared of the fraction. Don't get scared. I know fractions are scary. Okay. I've read your guys' comments. I've read your guys' responses to introduce yourself. A lot of you guys are just getting back into math. You guys haven't taken math for a while. Fractions are where it kind of starts getting a little scary. But just leave the fraction as 2 over 11. Okay. 7 minus 5, that's where I got the 2. 6 minus negative 5, that's how I got the 11. Okay, so now you got to start writing the equation. Y equals 2 over 11. That's the number, that's the slope. X plus B. Okay. Okay, now you don't know what B is. You don't know what that y-intercept is. Okay. But similar to last time or last problem, you do have an x and a y. Actually, you have a pair of x's and y's. Okay, so you have a choice here, and this is your choice. You can plug in negative 5, positive 5 for x and y, or you can plug in 6, 7. Okay, if you don't want to deal with negatives, and I don't see why anybody wants to deal with negatives, you can just choose to plug in 6, 7. You're going to get the same answer either way. So now just make sure you plug in 6 for x and 7 for y. So I'm going to plug in 7 for y. So this is going to be, let me move this up just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 7 is going to go in here for y. So it's going to be 7 equals 2 over 11, 6, so it's going to be times 6, plus b. Okay. Now, I need to do this part right here. This is b right here, not a 6. That's a b. That's what I want to solve for. So I need to do this part here. 2 over 11 times 6. 2 over 11 times 6 is let's see, that's going to be 6 over 1. So it's going to be 12 over 11, right? 12 over 11 plus b. Okay. And now I have to subtract 12 11ths on both sides. So I need to take b. Okay, I'm just going to say b is going to equal. I'm going to take, I need to subtract 12 over 11 on this side. And I got to take 7 and I got to subtract 12 over 11. Okay, so this is a whole number. This is a improper fraction. So I'm going to make something called a common denominator. So I'm going to make them both 11s on the bottom. So this is going to be 12 still. Okay, now how do I make a 7 into something over 11? Well, Let's see, what number divided by 11 is equal to 7? I think that's 77. 77 divided by 11 is equal to 7. So I just, I'm subtracting a fraction from a whole number, and this is just the way I do it. There's probably other ways. Okay, so now I have to take 77 minus 12. 77 minus 12 is, I believe, 65. And so this is a little ugly, but it doesn't ask you to graph it. But the y-intercept is actually a fraction, 65 over 11. So there's a tool here, I think, for you to, let me click here. Yeah, so it's going to give you the fraction button here. So I'm going to go, let's see, y equals, and then I'm going to hit the fraction button. It's 12 over 11, so 12, and then 11. And then I'm going to click right there so that it's blinking after the 12 over 11. Don't forget my x. I'm going to put my x in. That's my slope, and then plus 65 over 11. So 65 is on top. And that can't be simplified. 11's on the bottom. Oop, what happened? It's plus 65 over 11. And the only thing you want to do before you hit check answer is you just want to make sure these fractions are reduced to lowest terms. Some of you might want to put them as a decimal. Don't put them as a decimal. Some of you might want to put them as like a mixed number, like 1 1/2 or 1 1/12. Don't put them as a mixed number. You need to write the answers as integers or simplified fractions. And simplified fractions sometimes are improper fractions. I'm going to check my answer here. And it says recheck answer. What happened? That's kind of weird. I do not know. Oh, I put 12 over 11. It's supposed to be 2 over 11. This is supposed to be 2 over 11. I put 12 over 11. Well, luckily I can just recheck the answer. So let me go back here and put 2 over 11. All right, recheck my answer. All right, I got it. That happens from time to time. I'm sure that's happened to you guys. That's just the first time it's happened to me. I need another cup of coffee. All right, so that was kind of rough with the fractions. I know. So hopefully they come up to be integers, but that's the problems from, let's see, 16. Okay, and then I have one more to show you, and then we'll be done. Clear screen. Problem number 19. Okay, 19. All right. Write the equation of a line satisfying the given conditions. Write the answer in slope-intercept form or standard form. Don't worry about standard form. Slope-intercept form, what it's all about. It's all about slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. The line contains the point 9,4 and is perpendicular to a line with a slope of negative 2/5. Okay. So, just thinking to myself right now. Y equals mx plus b. How many times have I said that in the last 20 minutes? I would say I probably at least said it 15 times. Y equals mx plus b. M is the slope of the line. It's got to be perpendicular to a line that has slope of negative 2/5. So remember, perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocal. So the opposite of a negative is a positive. And if you flip-flop this, the 5 goes on top and the 2 goes in the bottom. So that's your slope. Your slope is 5 over 2. It says perpendicular. Okay, if it said parallel, then we'd use this exact slope. But it's 5 over 2 because it's perpendicular. And now we use the fact that they give us this point. That 9 is an x, that 4 is a y. So I'm going to put 4 in for y, and I'm going to put 9 in for x. Okay, this is plus b. So this is the same thing as I got through doing the last problem, is I need to multiply this out. I'm going to put the 9 over 1. So this is 9 times 5 is 45. So it's 45 over 2. And plus b. And over here I have 4. So I have to take 4 and subtract. I have to take 4 and I subtract 45 over 2. Okay, so if you didn't get it last time, pay attention here on how I'm doing this. I'm going to leave the 45 over 2 because that's a fraction. And it's easier to subtract fractions with other fractions. So I have to, in order to subtract fractions, I have to make them both with the same denominator. So this 4 right here, I'm going to write this 4 with the denominator of a 2. What number divided by 2 is equal to 4? Think about it. 8. Okay, so 8 over 2 is the same as 4. And now I take the 8 and subtract 45. 8 minus 45. That's, let's see, 8 minus 45. That's going to be a negative number, isn't it? Negative number. What's 8 minus 45? You can plug it into a calculator if you want, but it's going to be a negative, let's see, 45 minus 8, and it's going to be a negative. So whatever this number is, 45 minus 8 is 3, that's going to be 15, that's going to be a 7, that's going to be a negative 37. 8 minus 45 is negative 37, and the denominator is 2. So this can't be simplified because 37's a prime number. So we're just going to write your answer right here. This is going to be y equals, let me not mess up on this one here now. Okay, fraction bar, fraction, 5 over 2, 5 on top, 2 on the bottom, x, and then since it's negative 37 over 2, I'm going to write the minus sign. That's going to be my negative. And then I can just put 37 on top. And I can put 2 on the bottom. 2 on the bottom. Okay. So let me make sure, double check here to make sure I typed it in right. I think I got it. I'm going to check my answer. And I should get the green check mark. Okay. And that's the last few problems, 19 through 25. Deal with that. Okay. Went a little bit longer than normal on these mini videos today, but pay attention to the upcoming Zoom meeting, and then we should have enough time tomorrow to finish up this week's material. We'll talk about homework 6 on the next mini video. Have a good day.